Welcome back to I Did This Instead of Killing Myself, everyone. Stand-up comedy podcast based in Story, New York. It's the week of September 25th, 2023. Yeah. Tough day today. Tough to keep this thing going, just to be totally honest. Yeah, I'm starting to lose some steam here. So, full disclosure, I could use some encouragement. I might take a couple weeks off from the show. I have a medical procedure that I'm not going to... something that I got to do. It's whatever. I'll tell you guys about it later. But there may be an episode next week, but after that there may be a break because I am getting fucking burned out. You ever get burned out? You ever just feel like you just want to quit everything? I'm there right now. And part of like everything I say or do with stand-up, like I have to like be honest, and just to be totally honest, I don't feel like doing fucking shit. I would quit comedy. You know what? New York comedy, not that fun. Okay, it's not. You know, it's fine. Also, I've had to quit vaping because of this fucking surgery I have to do. It's not serious. I'm fine. But I've been without nicotine for 5 days, and that is not helping. So yeah, it's fine. But I am feeling like I want to just quit everything. Like the fact that I almost didn't do this episode today. I'm sorry I'm being negative. But yeah, it's fucking brutal. If you're feeling like that, it's okay to feel like that. Tell me it's okay for me to feel like that, because I need to hear that too, okay? I got a couple more episodes recorded, then I'm going to record some more, or I fucking won't, or I'll take a fucking break. Anyway, we do have a good episode today, though. I want to stay positive for today, because we do have at least one more week together, okay? Tony Chou. Tony is a, to contrast how negative I just was, Tony is not that. Tony is very positive. He's a touring comedian from Beijing, China, co-host of an award-winning Chinese late-night show and comedy club owner. Owns a club in Beijing. He's made appearances on CNN, BBC, CGTN, The Atlantic. He's done a TED Talk. He's visiting New York for the next few months and is performing all around town, including at the Comedy Cellar. Great dude, super positive, fascinating guy. I met him after a mic and talked to him for a long time about the differences between cultures in China and the United States. On this interview, we talk about that same stuff, differences between China and the United States when it comes to culture, media, comedy, growing up in China. Tony shares what it was like growing up in China during the where they have that one-child policy. It's an only child as the little emperor. How he found stand-up. So much good stuff in here. Tony's fantastic. Breath of fresh air. You need to follow Tony. Check him out. Yeah, sorry I'm being a little negative bitch, but it's hard out here, dude. It's hard. Anyway, have a good week, everyone. Bye. All right. Tony Chou. Is that right? Tony Chou?
Yeah, Tony Chou.
Tony Chou, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Hi, 你好, everyone.
Yeah, you wanted to prepare before we started, but
we
no need.
Okay.
No need.
Okay.
I like how professional you are, though. You changed it to a nice shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to show respect. To go well with all this beautiful setting.
Tony, I love you, dude. We don't even, it's very laid back here. We don't,
like how laid back it should be. Like
super,
like this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Laid back. I need another footrest, but.
Oh, I get laid.
Get laid?
I get laid by a podcast.
Tony, I don't think you're getting laid off this podcast, unfortunately. But, dude, thanks for coming. You had a rough trip over here?
Yes. Yeah, I'm visiting from Beijing, China, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
from
here
China, too.
Yeah, China.
But, I mean, you had a rough time getting here to the apartment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a very complicated story.
Because of the subways. right?
Yeah, the subways. I've been to Astoria a few times for the comedy shows. Every time it's an easy trip. But today, I missed my 7 train stop at Queensboro Plaza. Nightmare again. And then I was trying to another way to get back and take the train, which led me to a wrong place.
Okay.
And then I have to wait for another bus, like in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And that trip itself took me another 15 minutes. And I decided to ride on the city bike. And then finally I got here like 40 minutes late.
So a bus, 2 trains, and a city bike.
Right.
And then you got here
Right.
and you had to walk up 5 flights.
It's literally how I get to America. Took on the
Rough time in
train
America.
and bus.
Dude, I just moved here. I hate the public transit here.
Yeah.
I hate the subway. I don't like it.
You know what? I sweat a lot.
You sweat a lot?
Yeah, before I came, I heard that America is a melting pot.
Yes.
And then I really feel it.
Because you're melting.
Yeah, because I'm smelly.
Tony, dude, I love it. Bringing the jokes. Yeah, dude. I mean, you're from Beijing, China.
Yeah, I'm from Beijing.
Born and raised?
No, I'm spent half of my lifetime in Beijing. I'm actually originally from Jinan, Shandong province, a capital city of Shandong province, which is like 1.5 hours on the train from Beijing.
Okay, I see. And yeah, we talked all about this, but I kind of want to like get into your background. But like, first of all, in Beijing, they have public transit, right?
Yeah.
How is it better? Is it worse?
Oh, definitely better.
Better?
Yeah, because it's always newer, right? Everything's pretty newer.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, the infrastructure is a cutting edge of basically every major city in China.
Right.
And we are still constructing it, extending the length of public transport.
Right.
Yeah.
And we talked about this too a little bit, and like this is kind of like already on because we met at a mic last week, which was really fun. And first of all, I got a chance to see Tony stand up, and it's very good and very
Thank you.
And well, I guess I want to talk about the public transit stuff, but before I do that, the mic was fun because
really,
well, it wasn't,
I doubt.
No, but it was. You went very last.
Yeah, I'm in the very
you were last on the list.
Yes.
So like normally at an open mic here in the city, like last spot on an open mic, really not very good or fun because there's only like a couple of people there. But I was there, a couple other people there, and I loved your set, and it was great.
Thank you.
And yeah, part of it was talking about the differences between China and America, how you drove, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of miles to perform in front of 3 people, all that stuff. It was great.
That really impressed me.
yeah, impressed me. The jokes impressed me. It was great. But yeah, so public transit. We talked about this afterwards, and we got to talk all about the differences between China and the United States, and I was really interested in that. And you said they're ahead of us. China's ahead of the United States
In some way.
in science and math and
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the social media, the
Social
business circle,
media.
in some way, is a little bit more advanced than the America. Because, but talking about the content, I don't agree.
The content, you don't agree?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the content, I don't think that China is ahead of America.
Okay.
But I'm just talking about the business model.
The business model
is
of
more of
social
it being
media.
more of being practiced and
Yeah.
improved.
Yeah.
A little earlier than America, I think. In some way.
Okay. Yeah, so that was the social media thing we were talking about. But yeah, why do you think that is? Why do you think, in terms of social media and stuff, China is ahead of us in terms of like the business process and things that?
Because we're seeing the transitioning of the from people's transitioning from the traditional media focus into the social media focus worldwide. But in China, I mean, nobody watches TV anymore. I mean, I think America is the same case, but
Some people still are watching TV.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
My parents, grandparents, they're still watching the news. They still watch cable and normal commercials and things like that. But they're aging out. So the younger generation, I don't think anybody watches TV.
All right, that makes sense. But in China, there's also a problem with the freedom of the content on TV, where the government controls all the TV stations, which means that they own everything there, and it's not a very market oriented. Even with some of the entertainment,
it's not very
programs,
market oriented.
To some extent.
Yeah, because it's technically a communist government.
Right.
So
in
it's
terms of
not-
the news, that's definitely under the government control. But we
Mhm.
have a lot of entertainment programs because the system of how the TV stations are run is not pure like market oriented.
Right.
You get what I mean? Like,
Right.
So that's why they don't usually have the, they most catch up with the time content with the younger generation, with the people. And also there's a little budget, there's a cutting budget into the advertisement
Okay.
to sponsor the TV programs.
Okay.
So basically all the TV stations at the professional level are all kind of like struggling.
Kind of struggling.
Yeah, so and
Okay.
people like just don't watch that anymore and switch it into social media. I mean,
Okay.
even ahead of like America.
The United States, yeah.
that's-
So it's not just the reason it's migrated more so off of the mainstream media stuff is because of the censorship.
yeah,
part
censorship
of it.
and the content is not
It's not
appealing
good.
as much.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. So like what kind of content, like the bad stuff that people don't want to watch, the stuff that sucks apparently, it's not good. Like what kind of shows does the government in China, like what kind of shows are they okay with? Like are they just bad stories? Like what kind of shows?
Oh, it's a very complicated because that's a huge machine running it in their own logics. They could be very detailed.
Okay.
In terms of those censorship and those management method. Let me give you an example. Can you imagine like at 7, like all the nation, every like provincial or city TV station just aired exactly the same news program
Yeah, at 7 p.m.
at
It's
7
the
p.m. in
same-
the evening
Yeah.
from the central television station
Yeah.
where I used to work.
So they
for,
tell you
actually.
what's going on. They tell
Yeah,
you
so
this
what's
is
going
this
on,
is
yeah.
the reality.
This is the most things you have to focus. This is-
yeah. What kind of stuff would be on the program?
oh, it's basically the leaders.
The leaders.
Mostly about that because China is very heavy with policies, so that's where we get how the policy will go,
Okay.
and then what the leaders is been up to.
Okay. So they'll give you an update on what the leaders are doing.
Right? They have we joke about that 3 segments. The first segment is all about the top leaders.
Okay.
Maybe like 10 minutes, and then the 10 minutes about domestic civil news, and the
Okay.
rest for like 7 or 8 minutes all about how fucked up the rest of the world is. Probably America, mostly
Right.
America.
And then they say like you have it so good here because the whole rest of the world's fucked up. Things are good in China. Like is that how it is? Is it very
Yeah, I think
positive?
that's what they're trying to sell China.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now sometimes it's not so strict, but so direct, but it's always in the direction of that.
Oh, okay. So it's a direction of like, yeah, things are good. Your leaders are good. Here's what they're up to.
I will say the
We
news
love
are
our
fake,
leaders.
but they just select
fake
the very
news.
by their methods and standard.
Have you heard of the term fake news?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump, yeah, he coined the term fake news. He would say that about some of our media outlets. He'd be like,
Right.
it's fake news. It's not real. It's propaganda. It's fake news. But in China, it actually sounds like it is actual kind of fake.
Yeah,
I don't want to get us in trouble with China or you in trouble with China. You got to go back there.
I'm not saying it's a fake news, but they select by their own standards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. That's interesting. It reminds me. Have you seen the movie V for Vendetta? Okay, that's an American movie. It's like a comic book movie, but in
That's
it,
why I can't see it.
that's why you can't see it. Yeah, dude.
I approve it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, China. It would be like this is what it is in China because it's a fictionalized story of it takes place in Great Britain, but it's this in the movie. It's like some Nazi totalitarian government is in control of London in England. And they have a centralized controlled media, and there's one guy who talks on it, and it's the same news station, and it's all on all the TVs, and people watch it. And there's also a government-sponsored comedy show on the news that in this movie.
But how does that work?
Well, he's able to do approved content, but
okay.
this guy decides to be a rebel. And he goes off of the government script and makes fun of the prime minister. And then that guy gets abducted and killed. So, or I don't know if he gets killed. Spoiler alert. But yeah, it seems like that is like the reality in China. So how do the people feel in China about all of this? Because it sounds like they're not watching as much of the state-run media. So...
But actually, out of surprise, like most people there may feel very happy about their life there.
Do they?
Right.
Okay.
Because I don't think that so many people really care like what has been censored. because that's not most of the people. That's not very directly affected. I mean, their life is not directly affected,
Right.
and we're having a very good economic growth in the past 4 decades.
Yeah.
That's really making people
Yeah.
happier about their life and enjoy their lives.
Sure. So I think you did mention that the other night too. Like the economic growth is helping the government stay credible, I suppose.
Right.
Like they'll live with the censorship as long as the economy's going.
Right. Like most people don't challenge the government. That's also part of the collectivism culture or like communism culture. We were think about we were not ever taught to challenge authority, no matter it's a politicians or what.
Right.
You just follow the rules and you do whatever they wanted you to do, and then you have a better turnout, based on your performance, and that's
Based
the
on your
way
performance. Yeah.
So we get used to that in general.
Yeah.
We don't even know that we don't know things. Given this fact.
Yeah, it's like it's like you don't know what you don't know necessarily. So growing up in China, can you talk to me about? I was curious about the upbringing in a typical traditional Chinese family, and how it might be different from here, and because I think we talked about this the other day too, about how there's this, the importance of duty and doing well and performing in school and doing what you're supposed to do. And I don't know if there's anything associated with making your family proud or things like that. Am I right in that kind of? I think
the major difference being growing up in China is that every household, basically every family, mostly have one only child. Most of us don't have siblings, especially those from the rural areas where the rules are being played kind of loosely. But in general, for people who are born in the 80s, 1980s or late 1970s, we're just the only child of the whole family.
Right. When did the only child policy start? The one child policy?
I think the late 70s.
Late 70s. Okay. And how does that impact the upbringing? So only child.
Yeah, the only child, and definitely we have a lot of spoiled kids.
Spoiled kids?
Yeah. In China, because we have a terminology for that. It's called little emperor.
Little emperor
with the family.
Yeah, that's what they call an only child. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, generations will make every effort to meet the needs of the little emperor.
Oh, I see.
The grandparents and also the parents.
So the grandparents of the one grandchild bend over backwards to meet the needs of the little emperor.
Right.
Okay.
But
that's not good.
But that's all. Yeah, it's good or bad. It's good because we don't have the issue with the splitting the family's wealth after the parents died or something.
Yeah, it all goes to the little emperor. Wow. Yeah. So were you an only child?
I'm the only child.
Oh, so you're the little emperor.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, some of them, I'm not the only emperor, a little emperor, but some of the really small kid is called the little emperor.
I see. I see. Gotcha. So you didn't have any siblings. So, did your parents, or is it so common that most people have only one child?
Yeah, my generation, all 90% probably.
90%.
More than 90%. Because if you have a second child or third, back in the days, you're going to be fined. Your family will be fined.
So how does that?
I mean, not 90%. I think in my class it's 99%.
Okay.
Or the only child of the
90%.
99%.
99%.
Yeah, in my school.
Yeah.
Because I live in the urban city.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
I don't even know what impact that would have because it's so rare here. Basically, most people I know have siblings. It's a minority of things, and because it seems I don't know. I was the oldest child in my family, so I was trying to figure out a lot of things on my own. But for my younger siblings, it was a big part of our social upbringing because we spent a lot of time with our siblings. We would teach each other things. We would learn from each other's mistakes at different phases in life.
I've never experienced that.
Never experienced that.
I never experienced that.
So where did you what did you do as a kid? Did you have a lot of close friends in school?
When I was a kid, I lived in the courtyard
Okay.
where like most of people like living in the same big yard.
Okay.
It's not like moving the building, but in the 90s we moved into the buildings, the apartment buildings.
Apartment buildings.
And then that's very typical in China.
Okay.
Like, can you imagine like we all lose the previous residence housing like when we were a child in China because we developed so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when we're in the childhood, we really have a good time playing with the different kids from different families within the big yard.
The courtyard. Yeah.
The courtyard.
Would it be kind of like this apartment style, where there's a courtyard in the middle, like in our?
Sometimes it's larger.
Larger.
Like maybe with
Okay.
like 50.
Yeah.
Or sometimes with 20
Yeah.
different families.
I gotcha.
together.
Yeah, for those
It's all
listening
flat.
who don't know, like where we live, there's like a garden. Like the back side, the outside of this apartment we're in faces the street, but the other side faces the courtyard, where like all the apartments kind of face in, and there's a garden and like a walkway. And I see kids out here sometimes, but
But I think it's just still different because back then that's only flats. We don't have apartment building that much.
okay, so just
it's a
flat.
flat,
So
and
just
which-
one level.
And also like the whole yard share like maybe 2 or 3 or 4 like tapping waters.
Okay.
So people have a lot of interaction with each other, and we're living in a kind of like a shabby condition within a very small like a flat,
Okay.
like 10 square meters, something like that.
And how old were you when you were living in this?
I think I moved into the apartment building when I was let me see, 8 years.
8 years
8
old.
years
Okay.
old,
So you
yeah.
have memories probably of the courtyard when
Right,
it was
right,
like
right.
socializing
Yeah,
with
definitely.
the kids. So that was
Definitely.
where you got it, because you didn't get it from siblings necessarily. I gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. That was that's so interesting. How do you think that affects the culture that everybody is an only child, or the vast majority of people in your generation?
I'm not quite sure of that because we don't really have a comparison.
Yeah. No, I know. It's hard to compare.
But we're also told that you might be maybe more selfish, self-centered.
Self-centered.
Yeah, in that case, and you don't know how to get along with your peers and stuff. And sometimes you're right. You don't.
Yeah, but
you're
maybe
more
less
lonely.
social. Because I've heard a theory about proper social development, and I'm going to butcher this. I'm not a clinical psychologist. I might not get this right, but part of what helps you socialize is rough and tumble play. So you roughhouse, you play, you get in like little fights with your siblings a lot of the time, and you figure out how to interact with another person, and you get in trouble, you get yelled at, and then you figure out how to play. And kids get that at school, in the schoolyard. And there's also an aspect of competition in my family, at least, because we were 4 brothers. So,
wow.
so yeah, we all competed with one another to in sports and things, and in a lot of ways, I actually think the competition was unhealthy in hindsight because we were like we just took it so serious. We wanted to make mom and dad proud. So in some ways, it might be nice to be an only child, and not have to compete. But
you know what? We have a very competitive schooling.
Yeah.
Like it's very competitive, given the fact that China's population is so big.
Yeah.
That my generation, especially one of the years I was born, like was the peak like of the population of the kids.
Yeah.
So like people have to compete everything to get into better schools, get into get admitted to the college, and then looking for a job.
Yeah.
That's very stressful.
Okay.
That's way more stressful.
Yeah. How hard were your parents on you? Were they very hard on you, like, and have high expectations?
I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Were they though?
I don't think they were that restrict because I'm a kind of a hardworking when I was a kid.
Okay. So you put that pressure on yourself anyway.
Yeah, because you have to, because I don't think like children in China have an easier life compared with the States, because they've had a lot of like you said, you have to compete in the sports and like in after school like activities. We just don't have much of that. We're just very focused on the academic performance.
Oh, okay.
That are very stressful.
Yeah.
You can never imagine like especially in provinces like Shandong, where I'm from, like people have a huge pressure to get into the college.
Okay.
You have to be maybe competing against maybe they got only like 3 or 4 out of the 10 to get college.
So so only 40%.
It's not it's not based on the application system like the U.S. It's based on the one simple test nationwide or provincial, and only ruled by the scores.
Okay.
Like some kids even, like the students from the rural areas was even suffering more because they don't have a really good education resources.
Okay.
They have to compete. They have to
take the same test as the kids in the urban areas.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It's
and
a
also
standardized
it's
test.
kind of unfair. There's a lot of discussion with that too. Very unfair because the score is different from one place to another place.
Yeah.
So the place with the better resources will be way easier than those
Right.
with the little resources.
Right.
Like Beijing, like they may get into the better college with the scores of maybe like 100 less,
Okay.
and to get into the better school. While people like whose score was way up there may not have be qualified to get into the same school. It's just because they're from a different province.
Interesting. So
Right.
they have a 100-point better score in the rural area, and they'll get in it.
Right.
They won't get in.
Right. It's different from place to place.
Okay.
It's just the provinces are almost like the states in America.
Okay.
But we only treat them. But most of the cases, like for the education, is because in China we have a different system called 户口, I mean the residence. You cannot move freely, basically.
Oh, I see.
Because everything, the welfare, the education, the health, are all linked with where you were born.
I see.
So there's a certificate showing the place of your birth.
Mm-hmm. And you have to stay there?
Yeah, you may like for education and health, that's exactly where it has a connection to.
Okay.
But after graduation, you can work in some other provinces or cities. But your kids, you don't have a 户口 you don't have the residency certificate of the city you worked. Your kids will not be allowed to get into the public school there.
Oh, I see.
So you have to go back to your hometown.
To raise your kids?
Right, to receive their education and then to pass all the college entrance examinations from there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So basically, understand what I'm saying.
So if you're in a bad province or
Right.
with bad education,
That would be tough.
you can't. It's really hard to get out of that.
Right, really
Because
tough.
even if you beat the odds, get into a
Right.
good school,
Right.
you move to a different province to get a good job, you have to go back to raise your kid in the
Right.
same, and they still got to beat the system
Right.
again. Woo!
So like
We got it pretty good here in America.
Right. It's like back in my high school, like at the final year of my high school, there are some of the students from wealthier families or from families in which they have connections. All they send their kids to the easier provinces.
Okay.
Either is like how could I say? The province has less competition with better resources, or those
Okay.
really far away and remote provinces.
So
where
they could be like
tend
top kid in
Right.
that class.
Right.
Because they're just going to run circles.
We'll call them the college entrance examination immigrants.
That's what you call it? Okay.
They cheat.
They cheat.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like going into the kiddie league, but they have the resources of much.
And we don't put the like your after school performances like art and sports and volunteering stuff into this account. It's just like the exam scores.
Just the exam scores.
Right.
So extracurriculars don't matter. Yeah, you're aware of how it is in the States, right? When kids are applying for college.
No.
It's been a long time, but that was ingrained in us. They would say, I went to a good high school that reminded us of that, but it was always, it's a bonus if you play football, if you are involved, in the arts after school. That all counted. They even have in the United States, you write a college essay.
Yeah.
And you make a case for yourself as a student for scholarships or things like that. Does that exist in China? People
Not much.
No,
We don't really
You hold the
apply.
yeah,
We don't really
there you go.
apply.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
You don't apply.
They just use the
It's
same
black and
ruler
white based
and they
on-
go with their ruler.
Yeah. Okay, so it's got to be pretty rough for these people that don't make it into the schools.
Right.
So
That's
what
why
happens to the rest of the 60% of the population that's not making it?
so they're going to the bad universities but right now I think the rate of the applications are pretty high. Basically higher year by year as the population is going down year by year, and also the colleges are expanding like after the year of 2000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
so there's more options for more
right
people.
there are more options,
so
and
it's
also
not like
more,
if you don't make it into the 60%, you have to work.
but it's easier to get into the college, but after the graduation it's still hard to get a job.
Right.
Yeah, but like in the 80s or 90s, like making it into the college itself is very, very difficult.
Right.
In general.
I see. I see. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting. The United States is seeing similar things now, I feel. Like, most people go to college, Most
it's hard to get a job.
Hard to get a job. Or hard to get a good job. I mean, there's jobs. Okay. There's plenty of jobs, but they're working in the service industry or working whatever. But for the cost of tuition, it's not a job that's going to pay off the student loan debt for that particular student.
That's also the difference. The tuition here is way higher than that in China.
Yeah,
because in China we're all like, all the universities mostly are like public schools.
Public schools. And
the best schools are public schools. They're either like central government sponsored or the provincial government sponsored or the ministry of each.
So they're funded by tax revenue, I'm assuming.
Right. Yes.
That's how. So are the taxes pretty high in China? Do you know what the rates are?
What kind of tax? You mean running the company or like
sure,
for a
income
student?
Tax, sales tax.
In general, people say that it's actually very high. But it's in a very hidden way. People don't realize it.
Okay. So is it like sales tax? Like everything you buy?
You know what? Like people don't know that because we have never had any clue of how much tax we pay every year.
Oh.
It's not like in the States. You buy anywhere, it's hidden.
But you have less money than you got in your paycheck.
That's for sure.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Do they show you how much they take out of your paychecks?
Yes, but like in general in China, people don't have a concept of that.
Oh.
Because they don't. How can I put it? I don't think they want to make it very obvious for people to find out how many tax. They don't give it a sense that you are the taxpayers and you can contribute to the society, and then you're gonna because we don't either know like how this tax is being used.
Right. You don't know how the money is being used or how much is being taken out.
Right. But here,
there's no sense of it even.
No.
Because it's like.
So what would be a culture shock for me, or I think for the Chinese people in general coming to the United States, is that on every single receipt, with no matter how much it is, like $3, you know how much tax you pay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got a sense, I pay the tax. I'm the one who contributes to society.
Yes.
And you're gonna use my money wisely.
Yeah.
Or else I'll challenge you.
We don't always do that, but yeah, at least there's the transparency.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
But I'm gonna say the government is very rich. The Chinese government is very, very rich.
Yes. Yes. They buy a lot of our treasury bonds. China owns a lot of U.S. debt.
Yes.
So we owe China, and
but people say that like in China, you run a company, you do all those stuff, because all those hidden tax in general will be very high.
I see. So because it's just not visible to people. I mean, the level of like financial literacy of the average Chinese person is it lower? Like, is it not? Like, is there personal investing in China?
In China, like
at an individual level, do people like invest in?
Yes, because people are making a lot during the past a few decades, especially from the property, because I think almost all the families' property are very heavily relied on the property, because once you get rich, like Chinese people's mind is like, we always buy a property because there's no really good investment in China. Definitely we can invest in the stock market.
Yes.
But in the end, like very, very few people win.
Yes. In the stock market?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the long run, this is also lack of transparency and stuff.
Yeah.
And also all the other
like real estate is viewed as okay.
100% sure.
Yes.
Good investment in the past like few decades.
Right. Hasn't there been a real estate bubble in China?
Yes, we're having it. That's what we're having
it right now.
Yeah.
So property values are declining. Potentially. Or
Yeah,
they were. I'm really not.
yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. It wasn't like 2008 with us, because in 2008 that was when our real estate market crashed, and that was like,
yeah, we're talking about that if China will have a Lehman Brothers moment.
yes, a Lehman Brothers moment. Yes, yes. I hope it doesn't, because the Chinese economy is big enough to where it would affect everything.
Yeah, it seems that there's a very serious challenge ahead of the China in many aspects, but also China is very unique in terms of how they manipulate manage the economy.
Yes.
Because they have many different policy tools. It's not like only like a market-based economy.
Right, right. Could you walk us through some of those tools they have? Like currency manipulation is the one.
all of them. They can stop the developers to sell the price to sell the properties under a certain price even.
Yeah, yeah.
The loans
to artificially keep the value of the real estate up. They say
Right.
stop developing because we don't want to increase the supply of the real estate. Yes.
I think they're trying all the means to keep it strong at the moment.
Yes.
Even there's a little, less like sales number, but it's gonna keep it that high.
Yeah. The other thing I've heard that China can do is they'll artificially devalue their currency so that their exports are comparatively less expensive, so that they can export more.
I don't think that's what they are trying to do now. They're trying to keep the value, but because it's dropping very sharply in your recent month.
Okay, I see. Yeah, probably not now, but that was always Donald Trump would talk
The
about
exchange rate went up from 7.1 to 7.3
Okay.
within 2 months.
Okay.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Wait, that means the
Like 2
currency's
years ago,
more or
I
less
think
valuable.
it's like a little bit more than 6 only.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So the currency is more valuable?
No,
Less
it's
valuable.
going down.
It's going down.
It's weakening.
Okay, I see. The weakening of the currency. Yeah, because it takes more to buy. Yeah. I studied economics in college, but it's been a really long time.
It's been really a challenge for me to talk all those really big issues about China, the education, the economy, the politics, everything.
I'm a nerd, Tony. I like to talk about the economy sometimes, especially for someone who is from there. And
I'm in a tough position. But on the one hand, I'm not really an expert on everything. On the other hand, I may not express it in an accurate way.
Yeah. But you mean in English as well?
Yeah, English as well.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think you're doing great, and I'm not an expert on America either. I'm just.
I hope the people from
But
China
you
won't
know
shit me.
You know a lot about China, though. So obviously, it's very interesting. So let's talk about comedy in China. So we talked a little bit about your background the other day, but when did you get into comedy? Why did you get into comedy? And maybe specifically, like in a country where creativity is not celebrated as much, or its individual expression is not as emphasized. How did you find comedy?
Yeah, my comedy experiences trace back to the year of late 2012 or early 2013. Well, Joe Wong, I don't know if you know the comedian, the Chinese American comedian Joe Wong.
Joe Wong.
Yeah, was popular at that time.
I know of him.
You know him, right?
Yeah.
So that, I think he, by doing the White House correspondent dinner set, that video got viral in China. Yeah, so I think that's when stand-up comedy was introduced to China. People realized, this is something that relate to us, and this is something that we can understand, and we can even think about. This is because before that we couldn't understand why like the comedy is so funny because we can't understand everything. Yeah, because the reference is different. I mean, even now, I will watch some stand-up comedy live. I don't understand the punchline because I'm not very related to that.
Do you laugh?
Well, sometimes I laugh, but sometimes I don't understand.
Do you ever laugh to be polite?
Yeah, sometimes because I understand part of it because the setup part is kind of easier.
Right.
It's always probably comes after the punchline because it's a very.
It's like a mathematical thing. You can understand when the punchline's supposed to
hide some of the information. Always like we all know that in the punchline you have to be quick. You have to the sharp turn.
Yes.
That is very precise on the information you release.
Yes.
And it's also not straightforward sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And also talking about the names, the pop culture.
The pop culture references.
Yeah, all those stuff.
Yes.
I don't understand that.
Yeah,
sometimes.
it's interesting. So that White House Correspondents' Dinner video,
Yeah,
so that was not censored in China, obviously.
No.
So that went viral.
Yeah.
Why do you think the Chinese government would have censored it if they would have known it would have caused?
No, because there's less political, because there's nothing bad for China.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
they think, wow, the Chinese guy went up and say joke about Joe Biden.
Exactly. That's great.
That, I think what's really making it the headline news is that it's not only a comedic event in that sense. It's more of a social event.
Yeah.
People like from China, we've never seen like people do political jokes in China.
I see.
But that's the jokes about American politics.
Yeah.
So that's okay.
Very cool. Very cool. So that was 2012. How old were you?
I'm almost 40.
40.
Yeah.
You were 40 in 2012?
Oh no, back then.
Yeah.
29.
29.
Yeah,
Okay, so you
29.
discovered comedy at 29.
Yeah.
Now when you saw the video and then
I went, wow, let me try this. This is something I may do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I look around in Beijing. I didn't find any Chinese stand-up, but because back then there was no Chinese speaking stand-up at all.
Okay.
And then I found a group of foreign expats.
Okay.
And they're doing English stand-up comedy. That's where I started doing stand-up comedy.
Okay, great. So the only comedy clubs in Beijing at that time were English-speaking
comedy.
Expats.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't say that it's a professional, but at least, this is something I can join and do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think not long after that, like Joe Wong returned to China.
Okay.
And then we started to do shows together. And
you did shows with Joe Wong?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I did the show with him all the time after
Okay.
that. Like, can you imagine, like, I watched them, that he inspired me of doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And
How did
after
you
a
meet
while,
him?
I performed, I opened for him in the big theaters later.
Oh, that's so cool. How did you meet him?
Yeah, because that's the only scene in Beijing. Like, everybody, like, once
Wow.
you're in a while. And,
That's so cool. It was such a small scene. You could just make that connection.
right.
Yeah.
And also, Des Bishop, an Irish American comedian who was quite famous in Ireland, went to China to film the documentary where he started a comedy club at his home.
Yeah.
And then later I joined, and we keep doing this. And that's at a long time for a long time is the most professional comedy club in the entire China.
Wow. And
So
that's
the best
club,
comics. Yeah,
that's the club that you co-run right now.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And
Yeah.
that club, for a long while, I mean, the best comics from all over China, like came all the way to Beijing, to our club to perform.
That is so great.
Right.
We kind of buried the lead on this one. Like I'll tell about this in the introduction before we talk about this, but we really want to talk about that comedy club because I knew you ran this comedy club, but I didn't know the prominence of it and that this is one of the best comedy clubs in all of China.
Yeah, it's just because I'm one of the pioneering stand-up comedian from China, so I think I benefit from that a lot because I'm actually the first comedian from China touring the world.
Wow.
I toured Ireland in the year of 2014, and I'm the first Chinese comedian who did a cruise gig.
Yeah, wow.
On the international cruise.
That's so, dude. And I'm so happy. We got you on the show. I didn't know. I didn't know all these details about your resume.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I was visiting New York City 8 years ago. I actually received some of the news interviews. I was on some of the TV programs in New York City.
In New York City?
8 years ago.
Yeah. Well, how did you have fun on the local news?
They called me. But it's some of them are Chinese speaking. There's one television called Sinovision. Sinovision. I think it's the biggest Chinese speaking TV station here. They did a one-on-one interview in the very fancy professional studio in Manhattan.
Very cool.
And also,
now you're in my apartment doing this.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm maybe more influential than that.
No, it's not. I'm so happy about it. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. So you've toured the world. I didn't know you did anything in Europe. So you did stand up in Ireland, you said?
Yeah, I toured with Des Bishop in the year of 2014, different cities, did quite long shows. That's my first gig outside China.
In Ireland?
Not only in Ireland.
That was your first gig outside China?
outside China.
What level were you guys playing? Were you guys playing at comedy clubs or theaters?
Oh, all kinds of that, because he's a celebrity there.
He's a celebrity there.
Yeah, we did tons of shows.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
to be able to start comedy, and do it, and very early on to be thrust into an international tour where you're doing theaters. I mean, how did you develop your skills as a comic to be ready for that kind of audience and that kind of exposure?
But that's very challenging, especially back in 2014 when I just started
Well, it sounds like it was
years
quick.
after that.
So 1 to 2 years.
Right.
Like, did you have anything that you applied to develop your material or to get so good so fast?
Not at all. Just in the situation that we don't have many gigs in Beijing. We're just maybe weekly,
right?
Open mic,
once a week open
right?
mic.
Yeah, and also English is a problem. I was not speaking as good English as I am now, even, so it's very hard.
Yeah.
But just I'm one of the special comedians. I think that makes some sense to the audience. I've never seen any guy from Beijing, from China, do English stand-up.
Yeah.
So they are very open-minded for what I conveyed in my joke, and they're very curious about it.
Yeah. So they're already sitting up paying attention very closely because they're not used to seeing someone from China. And the things, I mean, that's why you were so interesting to me right away, is there's so much that you have experienced that I don't know about.
Back then, not only people from comedians, they have never seen comedians from China, but in general, Chinese or Asian comedians, they have never seen that either. At least in Ireland back in the day.
Yeah. Now, so you've been doing stand-up for 10 years?
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That is so cool that you were able to perform at that level that early. It's interesting because I feel like in the U.S. and stand-up comedy scenes, there's people say that you have to do it for 10 years before you get anywhere. But based on, your experience and opportunities, that can happen faster depending on,
so this is what I'm saying. It's be very tough to start in New York City.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
I don't know how people make it. I don't know. Just
yeah.
If I started here, I'll quit the next week.
Yeah, we all want to quit. We all want to quit here. It's because the difference is, the other thing that you told me that was so crazy is there's fewer comedians, but every show has a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't you tell me they would cancel a show if they only had 20 audience members?
Yeah, that's all I used to do sometimes.
You used to cancel shows?
Right. We're used to those shows with 100 people, 200 people, or at least 80, 70s. That's good. Think about that. If you start with people size of that kind of crowd, and sometimes it just turn out to be 30 people, you're very upset about that.
You're very upset about
it's wow, shit.
Yeah.
It's not the day.
Not today. Yeah, most of us here would kill for an audience of 30 in a small room. That'd be a great show.
Right.
Wow. Supply and demand.
Even at a time when people don't know what stand-up comedy is, we still have a crowd.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so tough. Yeah. So, in all these shows, at your comedy club, what's the name of the comedy club again?
The humor section, 幽默小区.
The humor section?
Yeah, because we held that in the bookstore. The bookstore, they have the novel section, the dining section, and we are the humor section.
The humor section. Oh, I like it. The humor section of the bookstore.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a very famous bookstore.
Okay.
Actually, that was considered by the Lonely Planet the 10 most beautiful bookstores worldwide.
Oh, okay.
In a year, I forgot which year it was.
What is the building like?
It's a very
I think a large bookstore and then a theater.
It's on the. I think the whole setting and environment is pretty like the last bookstore in Las Vegas.
Okay.
I don't know if I've ever been there, but it basically combines a bar, cafe, and cultural events together. And also that's very popular. I mean, that's the most popular space with the expats in Beijing.
Okay.
Where we have a lot of different cultural events happening every day.
Wow.
And we're every Saturday the prime time.
Okay. Every Saturday the prime time.
Yeah, every Saturday for years.
Wow. So do famous American comedians perform there?
Yeah, a lot of them play there.
Who?
Eric Schiffer Shafir.
Ari Shaffir.
Ari Shafir.
Ari Shaffir has played there.
Tom Rolls.
Okay.
Ronnie Chan.
Ronnie Chan.
Shane Wayne.
Yeah.
Ruben Paul.
Who?
Ruben Paul.
Ruben Paul. Has Tom Segura played there?
Who?
Tom Segura?
No.
He hasn't?
No.
Okay. There's a documentary somewhere where Tom Segura went to China.
Oh, really?
And yeah.
What year is
I
it?
don't
I
know.
know.
It's an older documentary because Tom Segura is very young in it. So I'd imagine it's probably at least, I don't know, 8 years
80s.
old, 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And they were performing there. And it follows their experience of having to adjust their style of comedy or not to see, how to connect. And then in the documentary, they're interviewed and talking about being nervous of will their jokes be funny to
Oh, I guess it was with the Punchline Comedy Club. But at the time we were doing the comedy club, the Punchline didn't do much.
Okay.
So that was before us because it was done by another white guy who brought really like celebrities to. I think he brought Russell Peters to Beijing, I think.
Russell Peters.
Yeah, like comedians of that level. One of the earliest bookings would be Jim Gaffigan.
Jim Gaffigan?
Yeah, a few years ago, where I was there at the time.
Yeah. That was one of your guys' earliest bookings?
Yeah.
Yeah. At the comedy section?
Punchline.
At the Punchline.
Yeah.
The Punchline.
Yeah.
I see. Wow. Yeah.
That was way ahead of us, I think. I think it's just that Jim Gaffigan's kids want to attend some summer school in China, and he asked that guy, and then they make it into. I mean, they did 3 consecutive shows, and 200 scale bar in Beijing.
Okay, I see.
Near the Walker Stadium, our like the home soccer game venue for the Beijing team.
Okay, very cool. So you've been in the United States for. How long have you been
this
here?
time?
2 months, right?
This time, 2 months.
2 months.
2 months already.
2 months. Okay. You said you've been in the United States for
a few times.
Few times. Yeah. Okay. How long did you stay before, and where did you go in the United States before?
This is the longest stay I've ever done.
Oh, okay.
8 years ago, I stayed in New York City for a month, and in the end of early 2020, right before the pandemic, I was in LA for a week.
You were in where?
LA.
LA.
Los Angeles. Yes.
I see.
And 10 years ago, I visited America for the first time in like different coastal cities. But it's a very like 2 week for a 2 week time. But
so you visited the coastal cities?
Yeah, coastal cities. I've never been to the middle.
Never been to the
south.
America.
But I'm very, very curious about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Michigan.
Yeah.
That's this state here.
Yeah.
Looks like a hand. And that's definitely Midwest, very much so. And I just moved from South Carolina, which is the South. So I'm pretty familiar with that. But very different pace of life. It's
I guess so.
It's a slower. It's more spread out and suburbs, and it's very nice. It's very peaceful. The people are very,
I guess so.
very kind. That's what I'm adjusting to in New York is. There's so many people.
This is an exception, right? This is not America. I mean, this is a New York,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I think it's the same thing with China, like Beijing or Shanghai. Like the whole China, it's not Beijing or Shanghai. That's an exception.
Right. Exactly. And just the way people behave to one another is different. Like people are generally colder and closed off here, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
Like people don't really. People don't go out of their way to smile.
They don't care that much.
No, they don't care. They don't care, and that I like that. I like to smile at people and engage them, and just. That's why I like Astoria, because it's more of a neighborhood,
more peaceful, more like work-life balance.
There's a lot of hustle and bustle, but it feels pretty safe, and there's families walking around with their kids and dogs, and all the local business owners are out, and people are they'll smile or say hi, and people in your building you can kind of interact. But in Manhattan, I feel. Like on the subway, people are just assholes. They're just depressed. That's why I don't like the subway.
Okay.
Fucking don't. Because I want to be happy, Fucking assholes. They don't have to be that mean. That's why I want to drive my car everywhere in New York. Because I have my little Subaru that it can fit into parallel parking spaces pretty easily. So I like to be in the car because then I can play my music and just be happy. But on the subway, it's bad energy. I pick up on these people and I'm like, I don't even want to do comedy after this.
This
I'm
is
like,
your shelter.
yeah. The car is like my safe place. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, yeah. So how did you like LA compared to New York City?
Oh, that's very different.
Very
I think
different?
you can't live without a car in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, but easier for me actually, like in New York City, because I don't have to drive.
Yeah.
And there you see a lot of people on the streets, and you know what's happening, what can do. But in LA, everything happens indoors, I guess. And also, I think that's a very different time where I was visiting. That was a New Year's Eve, where everybody was. Yeah, so everybody left. I don't know that. Because this is something.
I didn't realize that either. So people are not in town on New Year's Eve in LA.
I mean, yeah, like New York Eve and also Christmas is the holiday season in general, right? I don't realize that.
Yeah.
And so while I was walking on the street after I arrived, I said, "Oh wow, why there were so few people?" I didn't get used to that because in Beijing you see people all the time. In China, So New York is okay. It's like more of a what I'm familiar with. Yes. Yeah. And especially in Manhattan, like everywhere is within. You can take a walk and go to a city walk. Yeah. And there's always something to do. Yeah. And you can see them what's happening.
You know, I just thought of this. What I'd really like to know is you were in China during COVID.
Yes.
During 2020 when the pandemic broke out. What was that like?
Well, people was very. How can I put it? We went through many different stages actually, and some of the time we even could not resonate with the people from the rest of the world. I still remember, like my buddy Tess Bishop, we are doing a podcast. Okay, so it kind of because China had that first, and then China controlled it, and the rest of the world like went up. Yeah, and he did an interview when America was on, I think. And he's very cautious. Oh, what's China like? What's that? So, we have passed that. Why? What do you mean? I don't.
They're past that already.
Right. We don't remember. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we have a very different timing.
Yeah. Because the curve went like this.
Right.
And you guys flattened it.
Right. And also our border policy has changed a lot.
Very restrictive. Right,
very restrictive. Sometimes they don't welcome people from the west, from the outside. Some people they don't let people to go outside. So it changes all the time. Yeah. And also, I was in Beijing. Beijing, we don't really that much influence until last year. Actually, Beijing was hit hard since last May. Last May that's where we really feel where
it's over.
No, not over. Like it hit hard.
Oh, hit hard.
Yeah.
Okay. Beijing got hit hard last May by COVID?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That recent?
Yes.
Okay.
But all before that, I mean, like even 2 years, we're fine.
Okay.
We don't really feel that.
Interesting.
Because it's different from city to city. And
because
some
it's bordered off more?
Right.
Because it can't spread as easily? Okay.
Like after May, because like we cancel a lot of shows. Like, can you imagine like during the first 2 years, we don't really cancel that much shows. We're still after like first a few months, people will be very cautious that for sure. Yeah. That no shows are going on, and then after like a few months, and people say, "Oh, okay, yeah, we can do that." Yeah, because it's okay under control in some way.
Under control, people are wearing masks and taking all the precautions. Yeah, I remember when COVID first broke out, I would look at the case. The COVID case count and watch the stats and watch ours go up a lot. And then we saw China's go up. And then all my friends thought China was lying about the numbers because we thought like they would just not go up at all anymore. At all. It just stopped. And we thought maybe the Chinese government wasn't reporting all of it. That's what we thought. Do you think they were accurate in they actually did? It sounds like they got it under control.
Yeah, it's like one of my jokes. I've like in Beijing, I feel like the pandemic is like Olympic Games. It's like Olympic Games where everyone is at home watching it getting higher, faster, stronger. Yeah. It's like Olympic Games because America has always been leading and everyone believes China cheats.
Yeah, that's what we thought. Yeah. We were like, but I don't think you...
Definitely no one really that much trusts the number.
Yeah.
But we can feel that.
Mm.
We can feel that. I think also Shanghai was hit hard. Shanghai was locked down
Yeah.
for a while. That was really driving the people there crazy.
That's what we saw. We would see news stories in I didn't know if it was Shanghai, but probably where people were like not allowed to leave their residences,
Right.
and they were like on their balconies and like making gestures for like
Right.
help, like
Right.
help us, free us, and that was hard to see. Like we were like
Yeah.
we felt bad for.
Like
you know.
in China, in the cities where the cases are really bad
Mm-hmm.
and the things are kind of really go out of control. They do extremely restrict rules with that.
Yeah.
No matter what city it is, and Shanghai is the case.
Right.
And that make people believe that I can't live in the system. So some people choose to go out of China.
Yeah.
To leave China at that time.
Yeah. Wow. And was it easy to, like, how hard is it to get out? Like, let's say you're locked up by the government or, like, you're restricted.
Yeah, I mean, the government...
Is it possible to leave? Like, how do you...
You mean how to get out?
Yeah, you said some people decided to leave during that time. Like, how did they get out of the...
I think that situation pushed those people who might be able to make choices.
Oh, I
and
see.
And then this is the time.
I see.
I got.
So the people that had
fed up with it.
resources and means to do it, people that didn't would have to stay.
Yeah, because before that, like people, just as I said, like people just enjoying this economic growth. People are very enjoying their lives and their career because it's going better day by day during the past, like a lot of years. Like people do not expect this.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Which is just like it's from a top to bottom system, which means the boss, like decides everything behind,
right,
lower than him, and then the boss, is from top to bottom system.
Yeah, it's interesting in the United States because we have democracy, but it's kind of getting to where the politicians all are kind of similar from both major parties. They all are funded by big business, and they all kind of act and behave pretty similarly. It's more of, this is just my opinion, but it seems that the issues that they talk about on TV and people get upset about don't have as much of an impact on day-to-day life as, it seems. It's more of like a theater for people to continue to watch. So the more provocative they can be with these topics and say, this is life or death, it's not really. Like the actual policy that's affecting us is much more boring, and laws are passed that are not, people don't really know what law, like the actual things that are getting. So I don't know. It's like how much say do the people at the bottom up really have in how things are done? Not much. We only have two parties, and we really just have, two guys that are pretty similar that are running things. So it's kind of interesting how.
But to us, it's like levels of a different problems of different levels.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like we cannot even talk about this?
You can't even talk
like
about
in the
this
public
there.
platform in China.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is interesting. Yeah. That's too, like they're starting to censor things in America. The big social medias are starting to censor language, but not even close to what it is in China. Like what would happen if we were trying to have the same conversation in China?
You just don't get the whole content. You just
Wouldn't
don't get to be on.
Okay. So because, this is an important thing to explain for people. So there's no YouTube. Is there YouTube?
No.
No YouTube.
No YouTube, no Google, no Facebook, no Twitter, no Instagram.
Wow.
But we all have our equivalents. The Chinese version of the
YouTube and the
okay. There's that.
So how are those censored? Like what's on the Chinese equivalent?
The company itself has a huge team of people to do lots of filter and also
to filter the
check stuff.
Okay. Wow.
Because if they don't do that, they're gonna lose their license.
That's crazy. It's interesting though too. Here, people in America start to complain about that because YouTube will have censors, or Facebook, or the tech companies, they'll start to hire.
Send them to
censors.
China.
I know.
Send them to China.
Send the censors to China?
Yeah. I mean, send them. Send those who complain about America to China.
Yeah, true. But the people will say, well, it creeps and it gets worse. But Americans are so sensitive to it. We'll be like, fuck you. Like, we'll pop up with alternatives and things, and that won't be censored.
Or also, they may be happier. Maybe they're stuck in the bubble and say, "Oh, this is nice."
Yeah, in China, people.
Yeah. Maybe I would say.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Is all this freedom really good? We have too much freedom. I don't know. You see how much of a shit show it is over here. People can't even agree on what reality is because everybody.
But I definitely appreciate the freedom here.
You like the freedom?
Yeah, but I mean, like for those who take things for granted, just send them to China.
Yes. Yes, for those who take them for granted. Agreed. Yeah. But there's also some people that want less freedom here. People that want more restrictions on things. And
they'll find out. They'll find out
that it goes a bad way.
They have never known how much freedom they already have.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just the same case with the Chinese people. Like I would say, in general, people don't know they don't know things.
Right. Wow. Freedom. Yeah. Freedom, man. It's interesting. I forgot what I was going to ask. Where would you rather live? Would you rather live in China or the United States? Like, how long would you want to be here?
I want to be here forever.
Forever? Would you? Would you? You like it a lot?
Legally.
Legally?
Legally.
Oh, yeah. How long can you stay?
For this trip, 6 months maximum.
Yeah.
I'm on a business trip.
Okay. 6 months maximum. Okay. Well, we'll have to hang out more then for the time you're here. You're here for another few months. Yeah. Well, I guess the thing I was kind of just wondering in my head is like, the instability of the future when it comes to our democracy, because it feels very hard. It feels very unstable. Because 20 years ago, in the 90s, there were only like 4 news stations. It kind of reminds me of what you were describing in China, how there's state-controlled media, so people are only watching a few things. So that helped with stability because everybody trusted that what was going on in the news was Tom Brokaw or the main, and a lot of people watched the same things and people were happy and there was shared values and common sense was common because like everybody thought the same way. Or more or less. There was variations, but people were and nationalism, which has a very bad connotation these days, but like, there was more consensus on what reality was and who America is and everything. And also in entertainment. It was kind of fun. I actually liked this part of the 90s. It was like there were fewer movies. So the comedy movies that were really good, everybody saw them. Everybody saw the comedy movies. And everybody saw the same, like when Titanic came out, everybody saw Titanic. And it was like people could share in that and like everybody would enjoy that together. And people would also, as families, they would watch TV at the same time. I remember when I was little, like we would all watch TV shows at the same time. And there was something very positive about that. So like I wonder about like where we're at today with a modern economy, social media, all this freedom, and we have 1 billion opinions and 1 billion different media outlets. Is that a good thing? I think it's a good thing. I do think it's a good thing. But it's not very stable, So I'm just talking.
Well,
I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, it's definitely like people I think you look back the history, like the author in the day, like people, only a few people can read and write. And it's their priority, or is there, I don't know, I don't know how to put that in English, 特权. They can read books.
Yeah.
It's just only because their books sell well, not only because they have a better writing skills and good thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just only a limited number of people can
Can
do it.
Yes.
But now I think it gives it more freedom to the general. Definitely 90% more of the stuff are trashy.
Yes.
But
Yes.
but it means like professionals will now feel comfortable with like other people rushing in to do whatever they would like very easily.
Yeah.
And also with a video making,
Yeah.
we can do it just by doing our phone
Mm-hmm.
and look at what we are doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can just do it in at
We
home.
could just do a show.
Like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, can you imagine? Like you cannot even afford any of the
Equipment.
gadget,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I mean, like in general, I think it's good
For sure.
for creation.
Creation. Yeah.
But I definitely those professionals happy to be really, really outstanding and really, really tough. And also, you have always to be catch up with the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. There'll be. Yeah.
I mean, that's I think is a more market economy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the only option for to me. There's no stopping the direction we're on. We're going on a direction of more people having easy access to be able to create and a lot of options to choose from.
It won't be definitely an easy world since everybody has got 15 minutes of being famous.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? They always have to compete. Even though you're doing really, really good, like the audience will get bored with what you are doing.
The audience will get bored.
Yeah, they switch for someone.
Yeah.
But that's the time we live in, right? We have no other choice.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, can you imagine, like, you may not realize this very much. I felt it like 8 years ago while I was here. I feel like all the good comedy clubs play the TV credit very much. And everybody has a TV credit.
Yes.
And even like comedians are saying to each other, "Oh, if you want to get booked by this comedy club, you're gonna go to do a TV thing first, and blah blah blah." But right now, I already see a lot of them are doing promotions like, "Oh, this comedian has a following of what." What kind of following on Instagram? What a following on TikTok?
50,000,
yeah.
100,000.
And also you can sell the tickets. Back then, because the TV credit leads to your fan base,
Yes.
and now you can build it your own on your own platform.
Yes.
And this is your asset.
Right.
Like back then, it's not your asset.
Yeah. Right. That's a great point. I've heard the Comedy Cellar still requires a TV credit to perform there, but yeah, as far as I know, the others maybe not.
But this is the challenge we have to face. But
but it's still a tough,
there's a comedian like with
attention.
maybe like 2 million followers, but it's have no TV credit, and their fans don't just show up to watch whatever he does.
Yeah, he could be bad at comedy.
But we cannot stop them.
Right.
They do what they do, right?
They do what
there's a reason that there's a following at least.
Right.
I can't be judgmental, but I sometimes
that's
it's just
a good point. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I'll be a hater and I'll say, "Oh, it's just a TikTok person," and their stand-up might not.
The same with China.
Same with China.
Exactly the same with China. And also like people doing like crowd work and cut out pieces and put it on YouTube.
They're doing crowd work
exactly
in
the
China?
same.
Crowd work real?
Exactly the same. That's what I'm saying that we were doing earlier.
Yeah.
And also at that time, like they enjoy the timing thing with the platform, with the rise of platform, because they're gonna recommend this to the new followers, to the new customers, users of the app.
Okay.
But at the early time, that there's no such sufficient content of this category. So people, the first do that, really enjoy the benefit.
The benefit to be an early adopter
Right,
of a new platform.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not because it's doing good.
Right.
And also most of the cases, he was not good enough.
Yeah.
And then he tried other ways to make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like people are really good at offlines because they spend years of crafting their own jokes and really strong, solid. But we're talking about different models.
Yes. Yes.
So that's like,
yeah.
it's the same.
Do you like social media?
I'm not really good at it.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to figure it out. And also, like China, US, and also video, it's all different. They're all different.
Yeah. I it's a love-hate with social media for me. I don't like promoting my own things as much, but you have to,
You've been doing it. You've been doing the podcast. I haven't started yet. I'm still the late night guy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you know that I have a late night show in China.
You do?
Yeah. I
Okay.
used to have a late night show.
That's
But
amazing.
I'm a co-host. I'm Andy Richter.
Yeah. You're co-host with Andy Richter?
No, I'm the
You
co-host.
are the Andy Richter.
Yeah,
of
I'm the
show.
the late night show.
I was going to say, you have a show with Andy Richter. That's amazing.
So I'm still living that period of time, but I
Mm-hmm.
have to admit that time is more and more being weakened, being
Yeah.
challenged by the social media things.
Right. Yeah.
The same with America.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah. The Colbert Show is not nearly as big as the Letterman Show before.
Mhm.
David Letterman was
Right.
enormous. Millions and millions of people every night. Colbert, I don't know, it does okay, but like,
Mhm.
yeah. Jimmy Fallon
But
show.
I'm still a late night fan. I even
Mhm.
went to some of the tapings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You went to the tapings here in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which shows did you go to?
Colbert.
Colbert?
Daily Show.
Yeah.
Larry Wilmore at that time. I'm talking about 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Yeah, because right now they're all on
Yeah.
strike. They're all suspended.
What was it like? Was it different in person?
Yeah, because that's very helpful. Like when for later when I did the late night show.
Yeah.
Because we tape it the same way with American.
What
according to-
were your takeaways of how late night is
Yeah,
filmed?
I mean they take it in the way of being live because in China we don't do a lot of tape it in a live method,
Okay.
which means we kind of like
It's recorded, but they treat it as
Right.
live. Like they're gonna go.
right.
They're not gonna stop and cut
Mhm.
and go back and
Mhm.
redo anything.
Like the traditional TV making in China is more like fake.
Yeah.
Oh, they're gonna record. Oh, claps! They let the audience claps,
Yeah. Yeah.
laugh, and there's a warming up guy, which is not usually the comedian, actually,
Yeah.
a live director, and say,
Yeah.
"Oh, we do something, claps."
Yeah.
But when you put all those shots together, you don't feel really live and connected.
Yeah.
live audience.
Because it's forced. It's fake.
Yeah, it's false. It's fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they do have late night warm up guys here in the
Right.
States. They
Yes.
still do. They,
Yes.
There's a show on HBO called Crashing with
Mhm.
Pete Holmes. Have you seen that show?
Yeah.
No? Okay. Yeah. He gets a gig as the warm up guy and he thinks it's very good because it's like a TV credit, but he's not on TV.
Oh.
He
Oh,
wants
I
it to
think
come.
I saw that.
Yeah.
It's of several seasons, right?
There's several seasons. Yeah.
Oh,
Very good
we
show.
all consider that to be the male version of a Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. That's
Right?
the show. Yeah, I would like to rewatch it.
Yeah.
I saw it once. And,
Yeah. I
Pete
watched some
Holmes-
episodes of that show.
Yeah, he's a funny white guy. But yeah, so late night. So you are on. You're still doing the late night show?
No, our show got banned, got
got
censored
banned?
in China.
Oh, what
Right.
did it get? Why did it get censored? Was there
Yeah, it's one of the jokes that caused the show into
what
trouble.
joke caused it to get censored?
It's related to politics.
Religious politics.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really, and also some of the Western media, some of the media in America, covered our show for that joke, and then we were found by
Do you
the
remember
censorship.
the joke, or are you not allowed to say it?
No, I'd like to. I think already politically being in trouble by what we have said. No joke. No joke.
You might be in trouble for what we talked about today.
Some of that. Some
Oh
of the
no!
stuff, right.
Do you want me to edit it?
Let's see.
We'll figure it out. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't want to get people in trouble on here. But I'm so curious. I love China.
Mm-hmm.
I told you I want to go. My little sister's adopted from China.
You
Gracie.
should. I mean, that's a very, very good cultural experience,
Yeah.
and you all got a different conclusion with if you how can I put it? You'll have a different conclusion of what China is like,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how long you stayed in China.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And your conclusion always contradicts with each other because it's so much to be experienced.
Yeah. I see. So, if you were giving advice to an American who would like to take a visit to China, what would you recommend they do? Where to go, or to get a rich Chinese experience, like of the culture? Like, where would they go? Like, what city maybe to visit?
You were obviously going to go to Beijing and Shanghai
Beijing
for
and
sure,
Shanghai. Okay.
because that's the two biggest major cities in China compared to New York and L.A. But it's very different cities. I mean, Shanghai is very westernized.
Okay.
It's like New York City,
Okay.
and Beijing is very Chinese.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I'd probably lean Beijing then on this one, if you want to experience a different,
Right.
true
And also,
Chinese culture.
it's just like people actually have a different habits and also food in different with the different parts, very different, and also climate. Like thinking about like it's almost the size of America, but more. How could I put it? Like Xi'an and also Canton. It's all different. Dongbei.
What is that?
I'm talking about different provinces of China.
Oh, the different provinces. Okay.
It's very different from one to another.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Beijing,
Shanghai.
and your comedy club is where in Shanghai?
Beijing.
Yours is in Beijing.
I'm from Beijing.
Okay, so if you plan a visit to Beijing, you got to go to your comedy club.
If it's still going on.
If it's still going on after this show, people show up. It's like abandoned, and people are like abducted by the government. Oh crap! I'm sorry, dude. Yeah. Okay. What else to do in Beijing? What would you do if you only had like a week to spend in Beijing and you're a tourist? Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna go to the Forbidden City for sure.
Forbidden City. What's that?
The Tiananmen Square.
Tiananmen Square.
That was used. The emperor used to work and live. It was massive, beyond your massive as beyond your imaginationally massive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is it? It's a palace or it's a?
Yeah, it's a palace. It's a whole. Oh, I don't know how to put it because I should learn that more before I came.
I'm asking you to be a tour guide for a second.
Yeah, it took you hours to explore, walk, through that big place. Mm-hmm. That's the very heart of Beijing. That's the symbol of power.
A symbol of power.
Yeah, for the past hundreds of years.
Okay.
And also you're gonna definitely go to the Great Wall. We'll call one of the eighth, maybe the eighth or the ninth wonder
of the world.
Yeah, of the world.
Yeah.
Something that you can see from the Earth.
Yeah.
From a
satellite, from space.
Yeah, from the outer space.
Yeah.
And what else? And also, I think you're gonna go to eat some of the Beijing's food.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
it's not the same as American Chinese food.
No,
right? No.
There's no fucking Panda Express stuff.
No Panda Express in Beijing. That's good.
But I think we've already have some really authentic Chinese food
here in
New York
city.
City.
Yeah. Is there a Chinese place in Astoria that you found?
I haven't found out anything in
Flushing?
Astoria. Flushing, for sure.
Okay.
Manhattan, there are a few.
Okay.
A lot, I mean.
Yeah.
Not only a few.
Yeah. I need to do more of that. I haven't branched out and really intentionally sought out authentic Chinese food. I need to do that.
You can never get bored with the food in China.
Yeah.
You're going to love that. If you're a foodie.
What's the weirdest food or most un-American food? Is there any crazy, unusual for American, animal to eat or anything?
Frogs?
Frogs?
Do you guys eat frogs?
Yeah. Well, I think they might have frogs here in New York, but I've never eaten a frog.
Frogs. Dog.
But you know what? True?
But that's only in very few places in China. But in general, they don't eat dogs.
Okay, yeah, people always say that, but I was like, that can't be real.
We also Korean people eat dog.
Korean people?
Because the Korean race in China, we also have a Korean race.
Okay.
That part people eat dogs.
Oh my gosh.
And also in a
Guangxi
province. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, I think it's a cultural thing as well. Here, I cannot imagine people eat squirrels.
Yeah.
That's shocking to us.
Really?
Right. I mean, what I'm saying is it's equal shock.
So are squirrels
compared to Chinese people eating? You think
right? I know, but why is it shocking? Do people take squirrels as pets in China?
No, because we never seen squirrels.
You never seen squirrels?
Very few.
Okay.
Because I don't think we're protecting the nature very well.
Yeah, there's fewer trees.
That we cost the environmental protection to the economic development. That's what we're bad at.
Okay, so it's shocking because when you see squirrels, it looks
right. Because I was in Beijing watching. At that time, I have a satellite TV set up my own, suspiciously illegal. Yeah. I was watching Food Channel. I think it was a Food Channel or Travel Channel. I thought there was a program, and I was going to a little town, and there was a competition of how you cook squirrels. I was shocked. So what? What?
Is it because you?
We all consider this a very cute. I
very
think how
cute. Very cute.
right, very cute. I don't
Yeah.
exactly the same way you think your dog.
Yeah, that's why people don't. Yeah, they don't like eating them because they're cute and they think they have little
Right.
personalities.
So I'm saying that like it's actually a cultural thing, or it's the same.
Yeah.
The same. Like why do you can't accept that to eat dog while you're eating squirrels?
Yeah. Because we take dogs as pets and they're
Right.
part of our
Yeah. We
lives.
take squirrels as
give
as
dogs-
something really smart and lovely.
Yeah. We're just cutting squirrels' heads off. And
We'd
eating
even
them.
think if we keep a squirrel as a pet, it's even not fair to
the
them.
squirrel.
Right.
Yeah, you don't even.
We even rank that higher than
You have a
dogs.
high opinion of a squirrel.
Right. Why is that? Oh, we
man.
also have pigeons.
Pigeons.
Do you have pigeons here?
Yeah, plenty of pigeons.
Oh,
Do you see them?
No, I mean, we eat pigeons.
You eat pigeons?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think so. We think pigeons are...
Especially in Guangdong province, Canton province. They have
Guangdong?
a famous dish.
Yeah, in Guangdong?
Yeah.
That's where my sister's from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guangdong. They have.
Guangdong, China. So they eat pigeons. In
They
Guangdong.
generally love eat chicken animal a lot in
I see.
Canton.
I mean, I wouldn't have any issue eating a pigeon. I think pigeons are stupid. You know? Yeah. I don't have a problem eating birds. You know? They don't.
Oh, okay.
They don't seem that smart. You know?
Okay.
You ever look at a bird? Like they look like, I don't know. They got little scaly feet and dead eyes. And it's like, I would much rather like mammals. I'd have a hard time eating a cow. I feel like you pet a cow and like see like, oh, it's there's a spirit behind the, I don't know. Dogs too. I'm like, oh, a little dog.
Oh, we're
I'll eat a bird.
also our cuisine are also heavy on like those organs of animals where I don't think you eat.
No, we don't.
Like
typically do
kidneys,
that.
like
liver.
stomachs and liver and all kinds of that things.
They do eat liver. I remember my dad would always talk about liver. His mom would serve him liver, and they didn't like it, but it was supposed to be really healthy. Yeah. Yeah. Do you enjoy eating the organs of animals?
Some of them.
Some of them?
Some of them.
Yeah? Like what?
Like sometimes we do the sheep's liver. I mean, the Xinjiang barbecue. They sometimes do the sheep liver.
Okay.
That's really good.
It's good?
Yeah. And those, you know what? We just take it as for granted, as I said. So we don't realize that how different it is from some other stuff. But squirrel meat, I've never tried.
Squirrel meat.
I'll never try.
Never try squirrel meat?
I will never.
It probably is good.
No, I just cannot accept it. Like that's my guilty.
Yeah, it's like, get you a little squirrel. He's so cute. Yeah. Okay. Well, we've gone like an hour and we've gone long, 20 minutes. So I like to ask comics about comedy advice.
Yeah.
Like what's the best piece of comedy advice you've ever received?
Best comedy advice
Yeah.
received. Oh. Best just go on stage.
Just go on stage.
Yeah, because you may not understand this. Like for people from China, the context is very different.
Yes.
They just think that they can work by themselves at home.
Oh.
And then even in the early days while I was doing the English open micing in 2012 or 2013, there are still some of the Chinese guys. They think they're gonna focus on the script for months and then start to do the theater show. That's always the wrong way. They don't know they have to do it on the open mic. Test your materials.
Yeah.
And also, it also has a lot to do not only with your script, but also has a lot to do with how you present it, and also develop your material and persona.
Yeah.
So much other things combined
Yeah.
as a form of art. I mean, you can imagine that. Like, there's even a group of Chinese people doing Chinese stand-up basically in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Even then, ask me if they ask for my script when they invite me to perform. So just the context is very different. That people believe in script, and also they believe that they can work out the script by their own. That's
and then
the context in China.
and have it go well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have
Which
to
is
explore
interesting.
yourself.
You do,
know,
yeah.
right.
There's like a perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want it to be perfect before you get ready to show it to anyone. Is that kind of the
Right. That's the wrong
sentiment?
idea. That's
Yeah.
and you begin to self-censor yourself a lot by
Mm.
doing that. And then making assumptions like what people like, what no, you just figure it out. You don't have to
Figure it
understand
out.
that.
Yeah, you don't have to be perfect. Part
Right.
Part of it is bombing and
Mhm.
figuring out what doesn't work.
Also, I always compare like that to like how you learn swim.
Mm.
You don't learn swim by like memorizing all those rules from books.
No.
You just go into the swimming pool, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you jump in the
you
water.
you getting better by doing it.
Yeah.
And also like
Yeah.
the like some of the textbooks might be helpful while you were doing the practicing.
Yeah.
But you can't be good
Right.
as a swimmer without getting into the pool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
very good advice.
that's something,
That's a good metaphor.
mm.
You you don't learn to swim by studying a textbook. You learn to swim by getting in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. That's good advice.
And I learned about the censorship by being banned.
Yeah, let's hope not. Let's hope not. Well, Jody, this has been awesome. Thanks so much for coming, man.
Thank you.
I had a great time talking to you. Before we go, did you want to shout out your social medias for anybody who wants to keep up with your comedy?
Oh yeah,
And,
sure.
If they're living in the States or ever
Yeah.
visiting?
If you love David and love me, please all follow my account. It's called Tony Chou Comedy at Instagram. You know what? I'm just using it now in America. I'm just making like Instagram is not banned in China. I think they just want to stop me from being funny internationally. Follow me.
Follow, yeah. And I'll put all your links in the description below. So if you go down, you can follow all of Tony's stuff there. So check him out. Awesome guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much for doing this on short notice. And yeah, man. Check Tony
Yeah.
out.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
Once that deal is done, ain't got no more boats to run. Once that deal is done, ain't got no boats to run. Once that deal is done, ain't got no more boats to run.